So I've been gone for a fairly long time, and I apologize for that. In this video I will go over where I've been subtly and get into more detail at the end of the video. Speaking of which, enjoy. So, Dawntrail, the expansion that arguably had the biggest level of anticipation from the community, be it because of Yoshida's interviews, the graphical update, the new world, and a whole new arc to go through that does not revolve around Hydaelyn and Zodiark. So, how did it go? It was alright. I say alright even with the many flaws that I can point out, whether it is some decisions they have made on certain jobs, pacing within the story, or usage of certain characters. The entirety of Dawntrail is alright and is obviously more impactful to a very niche audience. More on that later. So let's start off with the selling point of the game, the story. The concept of Dawntrail landed on people with the idea of it being seen and taken as a summer vacation, only for us to be recruited by Woklama to assist her in her ascension. Already a great start to making the story have some level of density because politics Lamau. So we go on this adventure where we do tests to serve as proof of our readiness to rule, and we go on learning more and more about the new races in the game, whether it is a recolor, a resize, a reappearance, or a completely unique race, collecting anal beads and going through trials and tribulations for Woklamat's growth as a character. Now, a lot of people have their gripes against Woklamat, and it's not necessarily because of the identity of said character's voice actor, or because of the distasteful takes thrown out on the internet by mentioned voice actor. It's because Woklamat is the soul of Dawntrail and steals the scene from not just us, but literally everyone on screen. And I will be honest, the entire story of Dawntrail revolves around coddling Woklamat, and not really about her, though she has her moments. Meanwhile, she takes all the credits and pushes the writers to make the Scions drink today's sponsor, Dumb Bitch Juice, where there would be moments where we'd learn about the significance of this image, for example, and Alize would 3 minutes later say, "That must be the significance we learned about, is it not?" Perhaps. The Scions really needed to stay dead in Endwalker for real. But I will not go over the entirety of the story. That would be quite something to talk about though. But the tone of the entire story shifts from being a test of worth to a conversation about immortality and death. Parental death, to be more specific. Seeing how Woklamat loses the very two people who cared for her as if she was their own daughter. How Erenville copes with the concept that his mother figure Kafkiel was already dead long ago. Kryl bonding with her parents one more time before saying goodbye to their living memory. And remember when I said the story is more impactful to a very niche audience? 10 days before this expansion's early access, my mother passed away. And the moment Woklamat lost her mother figure in the story was very reminiscent of my experience. A decay in the mind, whether it be because of age, or medications, or a very devastating disease. And on the other concept of the story lies immortality. It covers the idea of immortalizing a figure through the memories and stories they make, or to literally become immortal. It is always an interesting concept to talk about when it comes to immortality, and Dawntrail nails it pretty well. To sacrifice the lives of those alive to prolong the inevitable on those you hold dear. It's impactful, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sphene is one of the characters of all time. I liked her at first, and then I began to dislike her for her consistent inconsistencies. The first time we see her, she seems an absolute distraught over seeing Zoral's actions. Then afterwards, she approaches us as a friend, goes on to explain everything from the culture and the way of her people and their history, and then revolts against Zoral only to be at his side. And after Zoral's defeat, she thanks us, before she fucks off to the Golden City and goes on to continue what Zoral had already planned. It makes you really wonder if she is even a villain who is worth pity. She's basically a combination of Meteon with her desire to kill everything for a purpose, and Emmet Selk with the idea of bringing back or maintaining an age and life she loved, but everything seemed to be executed in an extremely awkward way. So, TLDR, fuck Sphene. She's a misspelled geometric shape and an ugly stone, so she can eat shit and die. I don't want to hear anything from you Sphene stans, alright? Other than that, I think the story gets a 7 out of 10 from me. There were very intense, funny, and memorable scenes, but there were a lot of boring, repetitive, and idiotically bothersome moments in the story. But all in all, it's a pretty good start to a new saga. Now, let's talk about content. The content in this expansion is on another level in comparison to Endwalker. The dungeons are more stressful, the extreme fights are more engaging, and the raids are some of the most fun I've ever had. But progging will always be the shittiest experience in PF, for real for real. The content in this expansion had been one hell of a ride though. Even if the raid would be dubbed simple as many would say, I would still say that the content is extremely well put together. And on the topic of other pieces of content, we got the double dice slots, which can be extremely good, extremely strange, or extremely disappointing. I get that there is a ton of glamour pieces in the game, but you can do better than just make a second dice slot for the sole of the boots now, can't you? Anyways, it's still a step in the right direction. And naturally, there are many different things that can be talked about, from the drama here and there, to the music of the game, the glamour, and so many other things, but I think that concludes everything I wanted to talk about when it came to Dawntrail. There's still the Alliance raid to come, and who knows how Criterion is going to end up. So, to those who don't really care much about what has been going on in my real life, this is your time to click off. Thank you so much for watching. And those who are here, I thank you. It came to mind at a very, very late time that I realized I only announced my mother's passing on Discord and Twitter, but I left the YouTube frogs without any updates on the matter. Though the announcement here kinda gave it away as to where things were headed. It was a very quick decline in progress with her health, and my family and I knew how things would end. We just didn't know when or how. In the end, she did pass away with the most amount of peace anyone could wish for her, and that always puts my heart at ease knowing that she passed away in her sleep. She had been battling lung cancer for 3 years, and this year was when the cancer found an opening to go rabid. It still feels odd to not have her around, but that is normal when you have been living with someone all your life and they just go in a moment. But that is really all I have to say. I thank each and every single one of you for your patience, and I also have to thank the fellas that tune into the streams to hang out and give some fun company. You make all of this really worth it. And if you couldn't tell, I'm kinda sick, so that's pretty wicked. I have some plans in the works for future content regarding this game, but in the downtime of no YouTube videos, you can always tune into the streams for some more engaging stuffs. So, with that being said, have a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you are from, and I'll see you in the next one.